So Nick, I know we've had you throughout last week talking about the iPad. 600 to 700,000 units perhaps this weekend.
Yeah.
And that's incredible. More than the iPhone, right?
It's certainly more than the iPhone. You're almost double what the Kindle sold in the first year if you completely buy those numbers. Now, those numbers are all coming from Piper Jaffray, which is, reliable. Gene Munster, the analyst there, has done good work. However, read the report. It's based mainly on interviews at people at stores. So the lines are longer.
You mean at 2 stores, right?
At 2 stores in Minneapolis and New York, right? So you interview people in line at the stores, and there are more people than you expect. And it turns out the stores have been sent more inventory. But does that mean that sales should double? I mean, I have a little bit of skepticism about this number. It might be right. However, there are 2 components to the first weekend sales. There's the pre-orders, and then the people who bought them in the stores. We don't know anything new about the pre-orders. All we know is that the store system sort of was managed better. So one category out of 2 is slightly more or somewhat more, or maybe substantially more. But should that make sales double or triple from early expectations? I'm not certain about that.
What do you think is a more realistic number then?
I would say a little below that. I mean, look, it's probably well above. The iPhone sold 300,000, right? Or 270,000, I think, its first weekend. But as we realize, the iPad is being bought as an extra device by everybody. People are only buying iPhones to replace their phones. So the market for iPads was much bigger. So I would expect, 500,000 seems like a good number. It could be 6 to 7. It also could be the case.
But how come we don't have a clearer picture this time around than we did, let's say, with the iPhone, where we did have a clear picture after a weekend, right?
Well, we knew very quickly because that was the last day of a quarter, so they had to release their quarterly estimates, and more numbers came out that time. Apple will give us numbers. My guess is that there were certain leaks and stuff to keep our expectations low going in. And so 200 to 300, which is what everybody was saying early, was probably too low, and they have exceeded it. But I think there's a little fuzziness right now.
Okay, so you've had a chance to take a look at the iPad closely. What do you think?
I like it a lot. I mean, it doesn't, transform anything in my life, but it's a terrific device for surfing. It's a terrific device for reading. It's very good. It is true, however, that my backpack was heavy this morning with a Kindle, a laptop, and an iPad. So there might be a little fight between the iPad and the Kindle.
Right, I mean, because it really is more of a tablet computer. It is not really an e-reader then. And is that going to be what's going to keep the sales back then? And keep Amazon ahead of the competition, even?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, one of the Piper Jaffray's research report also had a very interesting survey of the customers, and none of the customers said they were replacing their iPhones or iPods, which was a little surprising. But it is, hardcore Apple fans. But of the people who had Kindles, about half of them said that they were going to replace their Kindles with the iPads. So it is possible that Apple will start to eat into the Kindle sales quite a bit. Now, the Kindle's going to get better. They're going to add stuff to it. So we'll see how that competition plays out. But right now, Apple has a very good selling point, which is this device does most of what a Kindle does and a ton of other things. So you have to really like your Kindle.
And I was reading through some reports, and there was some reports of, of AT&T not being able to handle a lot of this traffic, or actually Wi-Fi not being able to handle, all of that traffic, or they were not able to get onto Wi-Fi with this. I mean, is that going to be some problem when the 3G version does come on for AT&T?
Well, I think the Wi-Fi problem won't exist. I mean, Wi-Fi will be fine. The internet is large enough; it can handle it, and the way traffic is routed over the internet is so efficient, it'll be okay. The way traffic is routed over cellular networks is not as efficient, and there's not as much bandwidth. So when the 3G version comes out, it may well overwhelm things. However, I think more people are going to be buying the Wi-Fi unit than the 3G unit. Also, going back to the sales number, there's going to be another sales spike when the 3G unit comes out, right? So we had a sales spike, we had a sales spike this weekend with the Wi-Fi unit. There might be another one.
Okay, and how soon is Apple going to release those numbers? Do we know?
I don't know. They'll probably release it pretty soon. If there's advantage to be gained from it, it'll come out sooner than if there's disadvantage to be gained.
Right. You hate to just keep the markets guessing. Okay, Nick, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Nick Thompson of Wired Magazine, also Bloomberg contributor.